Alright, today we're going to be doing negative exponents. I've got a couple of rules I want to go over with you before we get started. At the top of your page, this is going to be inserted on the left side of page 35 of your composition book. So glue it in there if you haven't done that yet. Alright, the first thing is we've got a to the negative n. What you're going to do when you do negative exponents is you're never going to have a negative exponent. You want to make it positive always. So you're going to take it and put it at the bottom of a fraction. When you do that, you put a 1 over it. So it's 1 over a to the positive n. And I'm all done. I got rid of my negative exponent and I put it to the bottom. Okay, same thing with the next one. If it's in the bottom, your negative exponent, you bring it to the top of your fraction. So it's just going to be a to the positive n. Okay, so it looks like that's as easy as it is. We're going to try a few of them as examples, and then I'm going to let you try a few on your own. Okay, so number one, we have negative 9, and there's a parentheses to the negative 2. Okay, all right, so a couple things you need to know about the parentheses. We'll talk about that once we get rid of our negative exponent. So the first thing I want to do is I want to move this negative 2 and make it a positive, so I'm going to put it to the bottom of my fraction. So it's going to be negative 9. You've got your parentheses. It's important to keep those parentheses. 2, and at the top of your fraction, you have to put a placeholder of 1. Okay, so now I've got my negative exponent gone. I need to do distributive property with that 2. That 2 is going to be multiplied with the negative. Negative is a positive. And then I have 9 times 9 is 81. And I keep my 1 at the top of my fraction. So it's 1 over positive 81. Okay, now we're going to do number 2. Okay, number 2, we have negative 3 to the negative 2. Okay, notice there's no parentheses here. Okay, so very first thing, let's do this. We're going to put our negative exponent to our bottom of our fraction. So remember, you're going to have a 1 at the top. You're going to bring that and you're going to place it to the bottom of the fraction. So it's going to be negative 3 to the positive 2. Okay, now, just like we did before, we're going to do distributive property, or we're going to just do something with that negative, or that exponent of 2. So there's no parentheses. This one we had to distribute that 2. On number 1, you had to distribute the 2 to the negative and to the 9. But this case, all you're going to do is bring the 3 to the second power. So it's going to be 1, and you're going to keep the negative. You're not going to take the negative and make it to the second power. It's just going to be negative. You keep it, and you go 3 times 3 is 9. So that's number 2. Okay, number 3. We've got 1, and it's 2 to the negative 3. Okay, again, we want to get rid of the negative exponent, so we're going to bring it to the top as a 2 to the positive 3. And now we're just going to go ahead and distribute that exponent. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. So your final answer is 8. Number 4. Okay, we've got 1. And we got the parentheses again. So that means that we're going to have to distribute that exponent into both the negative and the 4. And we have a negative 3. So our first move is to get rid of that negative exponent by bringing it to the top of our fraction. Keep the parentheses. We haven't distributed that yet. This 3 becomes a positive 3. Now we're going to distribute it. Negative times a negative is a positive times a negative is a positive. Oop, I think I said that wrong. Negative times a negative is a positive. A positive times a negative is a negative. So it's going to be a negative, and it's 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. So it's a negative 64. Okay, now I've got A, B, C, and D. I'd like you to stop the tape or the program here, the lesson, and try them on your own. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the work, but I want you to stop it and then try the problems on your own. Okay, so now you've tried A, B, C, and D by yourself. I'm going to go ahead and go through them to make sure that you got the correct answer. All right, so the first thing you want to do is make the exponent a positive. So put it 1, and you got your negative 7 to the second power. Okay, keep your 1 at the top, and go ahead. You're not only going to multiply the 7. 7 times 7 is 49. And in this case, you're just going to keep the negative because there's no parentheses. Okay, the next one, you're going to put the exponent to the bottom to make it positive. I'm going to keep my parentheses. Put my 1 on top. And in this case, you're going to distribute the 4 to the negative and also distribute the 4 to the 3. So negative and negative is positive. Positive times a negative is a negative, and then negative times a positive, or negative times a negative is a positive. Anyways, a quick way, the way I remember to do this is if the exponent is even, it's a positive number. If the exponent is odd, it's a negative number. So I'm going to get 1 over, and because the exponent is even, it's going to be positive. I know it's going to be a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to go 3 times 3 is 9. Then 9 times 9 is 81. That's how I'm going to do that. You could always go 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81, whatever works for you. Okay, the next one, again, we're going to go ahead and we are going to make the exponent positive. I'm going to put it next to the 3, so it's x to the 4th. And I'm done with my answer for that one. Okay, the next one, we are going to change positions. 1's a negative. Oop. Sorry. Okay, sorry. That was my daughter, so I had to answer my phone. All right, so I've got x to the 5th power. That's going to go, let me find out where I'm at. Okay, so that's going to go to the bottom, and it's going to be a positive to the 5th power. And at the top, I'm going to bring negative 3 to the positive 2. But again, we're only going to make the 3 to the 2nd power, not the negative. So it's going to be 3 times 3 is 9, negative 9 over x to the 5th. And so those should be your answers. So how did you do?